Hey, tribe. This might be probably the most rawest video you've seen on manifesting. I'm really going to tell you the hidden truth, okay? Not the sugarcoating how to get manifesting to work for you. The real truth. The truth that nobody wants to tell you in every flippin' manifesting video, okay? And this video might even be hard for me, okay? Because I'm going to share with you some stuff that that exposes a side to me that only the secret me knows, you know what I mean? And even when I was making this video, like if I had a beer right now, I would drink a beer with you. If I had a whiskey right now, we would have a whiskey together. But I don't, okay? I have some water. So have a water with me, okay? Okay, and I laugh because that's kind of, when things get kind of, when I have anxiety, I get nervous, fear, you know what I mean? That's how my body deals with it. But people aren't telling you about manifesting, about your dream life. There's going to come a time, there's going to come a point, my friends, that you got to face the shitstorm. There's going to come a point where nothing is flipping working for you. There's going to come a point that it seems like life is out to get you. There's going to become a point that even if you're religious, you're going to feel like, literally, you're going to feel like God has a voodoo doll of you up in heaven and he's just poking pins in it just to torture you on earth. You're going to feel like that. I feel like that right now. I've been feeling like that for the last several weeks. And one thing I can tell you, it's not fun. But a second thing I can tell you, congratulations. Because the positive side of it, when you are feeling this way, when you are up against that shitstorm, you got to face things you don't want to face. You got to face old habits, old identities of yourself. You're breaking patterns and habits, and you're breaking decisions. You're breaking old beliefs in you. And this is a side that's not fun. This is a side, there's no glamour in this side of manifesting, my friends. But if you're experiencing what I'm experiencing right now, I'll get a little bit more deep with you a little bit. What's going on with me? Maybe you relate, or maybe you have something similar going on. But what you have to understand is you have to go through it. You have to go through this shitstorm because your dream life is on the other side. You can't run around it. You can't jump over it. You got to face it. You got to face your fears. That's the only thing. You got to face your fears. And if you're up against a fear right now, that's why I say congratulations. Because it means you're doing the real work. You're going to the root cause why your life is the way it is, my friends. You want real change. This isn't about a manifesting technique. This isn't about living in the end. This isn't about how to manifest my SP. This isn't about a 24-hour technique. Chad, just get to the point. Tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do, Chad. Your videos are boring. Get to the point. You're long-winded because you haven't figured it out, my friends. there comes a time in your life where you're just tired. You understand? You come a time in your life where you're sick and tired. You're sick and tired of living your old life. You're sick and tired of not getting results. You're sick and tired of not living a life that you deserve. You look at other people and it seems like they're living their dream life. They're driving Lambos and Porsches, living in a $2 million house. And you're sick and tired of like, you feel like, dude, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And the thing that people are not telling you, all these coaches, mentors, no matter how long they've been doing manifesting, identity work, whatever they want to call it, okay, is there becomes a time when you got to decide, I'm going to draw the line in the sand, baby, and I'm not moving. I'm willing to face the fire. I'm willing to face my fears. And this sounds easy, my friends. This sounds like a cliche. But you know what? Most of you say this, including myself, most of you say this, and once a fear arises, once it shakes you a little bit, once you get nervous, once you have anxiety come through you, you flip and run back to your comfort zone, baby. You flip and run back like a 5-year-old running to their parents. That's what you do. That's what I do. That's why I know a lot about this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I've done the actual work. And I'm going to share something with you I haven't shared before. One of the things I've been facing here lately, I'm in Thailand, by the way. I'm in Surin, Thailand. It's kind of like northern Thailand. And the reason why I say this is because being up in Surin, I'm so far away from a flipping airport, okay? I'm 6 hours away from Bangkok with no traffic, okay? 6 hours, no traffic. When there's really traffic, it could take you 12 hours to drive to Bangkok just to get to an airport. What Thailand has done, especially up north here, I bring the camera closer. The lighting is a little bit weird because the electric is off right now. They're fixing the electric. It's put my back against the wall, my friends. You understand that. It's hard to run. It's hard to run when things get scary. It's hard to run when you get nervous. It's hard to run when you feel anxiety. It's made it hard to run. One of the things I've noticed in me going through identity work myself is I'm a runner. You know what I mean? I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of saying that. You know, when I'm scared to do something, I run back to my comfort zone. Whatever that means, you're running back to your old life. You're running back to that old you that you're trying to improve from. You're running back. You're running back to those old decisions, those old patterns, those old beliefs. That's what I mean. You're running back to that comfort zone. You're running back to safety. When times get rough, I run. I've never known that about me until recently. I've never thought like I'm a runner. I've always thought like, dude, I face my problems. I face my fears. I don't run. I face them. Everybody wants to think that. But honestly, that's not the truth. Not with me. When the going gets tough, Chad runs. That's what was exposed in me up here. When the going gets tough, I run. When it gets difficult, I run. And it gets worse than that, my friends. It gets worse. Okay, I'm not proud to say this, is when I mean I run, I abandon everybody and I only protect myself. When I run back to safety, okay, there's been many times up here, even yesterday, last night, I was just sitting out here. I was sitting out here, not in this chair, but this one, just all by myself. Everybody was sleeping, talking to God. It's like I just had an enormous anxiety come over me. That I want to run, I want to run, I want to escape. And when I have those feelings, when I mean escape, I mean I will abandon Aang. We have like two, but no, not children. They're two puppies. But well, I mean, you're abandoned your relationships. You're abandoned the dogs. You're basically abandoned them, and they have to figure it out on their own. While I run back to the United States to a safety zone where I'm just worrying about Chad. That's what I mean. That's the ugly side of running. You know what I mean? That's the ugly side of me. That's getting exposed because I was willing to put in the work. I was willing to put in the identity work. Identity work is ugly, my friends. It's ugly. It exposes things in you that you don't want to see. But the thing is that it has to be exposed because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see what you're doing, you always see what you're doing, and then you can fix it. See, that old identity has to die. That old you has to die. But the old you it's clinging to you. When you do identity work, it has a death grip on you. It has a death grip on me. You know what I mean? And that's the ugly side. That's the ugly side of me that really got exposed up here. It's like, peeling an onion, and the deeper I got to the core of the onion, is that Chad will abandon everybody around him. That's what it came down to. I'll run right back to my comfort zones, run right back to safety, whatever it means, run right back to family. But what you have to understand is there's nothing wrong with running back to your comfort zone, but it's why are you doing it? It's why are you doing that, my friends? See, when you run back, you're running back to that old life. The old self has won. You're running back to defeat. And this is how I like to describe it. I'll kind of give you, money came in here. I kind of give you like an esoteric view really fast. So it really relates to this of the story of Moses. Okay. Now I'll be kind of quick with this. When Moses was rescuing the people out of Egypt, the Israelites, okay. This was after the 7 plagues, and the Pharaoh finally released the Israelites to Moses. Okay. And they're pretty much close to the Red Sea at this point. The Israelites knows, because it got back to them, that the Pharaoh changed his mind. They're chasing him down to slaughter them all. Okay. And Moses and the Israelites, they come up to the Red Sea. And the Red Sea is huge, my friends. This isn't a stream. This isn't a creek that you just walk across, The Red Sea is almost like the size of a flippin' ocean. Okay, when they came up against it, they were done. They were trapped. There was nowhere to go. Okay. And when they came, they saw the Red Sea, they murmured and complained. They ran to Moses in fear that we got to go back. We got to go back. You know, they already knew the Pharaoh was coming to slaughter them. We got to go back. We got to go back. We got to go back and meet Pharaoh and beg for forgiveness, beg for our life. For that brief moment, they wanted to go back to their old life. The old life that they wanted rescued from, they wanted to go back to it. You see, the more of an esoteric view on this is when you do identity work, when you come up and you face your fears, what is your Red Sea? You know what I mean? Listen, is my Red Sea, when things get difficult, I run. Basically, I have this fight or flight experience, you know. You either stay and you fight, or you're scared and you scat. You know what I mean? And when you have that flight experience, like you're going to go back to your comfort zone. You're going to go back to safety no matter how you do it. No matter if you break relationships, break friendships, it doesn't matter. That's what you're going to do. So you got to determine what your Red Sea is. Because listen to this, I'll continue with a story here. You know, when they got to the Red Sea, God didn't just split the Red Sea right when they saw it. The Israelites were scared out of their flipping mind. They were flipping scared, dude. They were probably more scared than me going through what I'm going through. They're probably more scared than you going through what you're going through. They had to have this flipping sweat of fear coming down them. The anxiety had to be so bad that they probably could have passed out. I mean, I bet you a lot of them had anxiety so bad they were probably throwing up. They were probably sick to their stomach. They had to sit down. Once they saw that Red Sea, once they saw they were trapped. Then Moses prayed. He prayed to God. And God told him to gather all your people and walk towards the sea. Ironically, Moses listened. But when he was still looking at the sea didn't flip and split. He didn't know what was going. He didn't know how they were going to get across. He gathered up all the people. He said, we're going to go across the sea. This is what God wants. We're going to start marching. We're going to start walking. But guess what? When they started walking, the sea didn't split. Even though they were walking to the Red Sea, people were still murmuring and complaining. We got to turn around. We got to go back. We're going to drown. We got to beg Pharaoh for forgiveness. When they got closer and closer to the Red Sea, it still didn't split. Fear had to overtake them. When their feet hit the water, they could feel the Red Sea on their feet. The sea still didn't split. You understand, my friends? When they walked deeper in the water, it got up to their knees. It still didn't split. I'm sure I probably would do the same thing. I'm sure people probably were yelling at Moses, "You're crazy, old man. We got to turn around. Are you a lunatic?" Even if they saw all the miracles that God did, God just did the 7 plagues. They seen miracles and they were still doubting. They were still doubting God. You understand? Same way you still doubt, I still doubt. We get so caught up into our 3D world, our circumstances, that causes worry, doubt, and fear. They were going through all that. And listen, they're walking in the water. It's up to their waist. The sea still didn't split, baby. At that point, they can feel the waves. They can feel how strong the waves are. Or they can feel the current. Now listen, Moses walked as far as he flippin' could. As far as he could. And God told him to plant your staff. And I don't know how far he really walked. I can just assume if I'm walking in the ocean, walking in the sea, I mean, before the current just takes you, I'm sure, it could be up to here. The water is clear up to here. He couldn't go any farther. And he put the staff down. And once he put the staff down, the whole sea split, where all the Israelites could walk across the sea. So the whole moral to this story is that Moses walked as far as he could and could not go any farther. That's why I said, what is your Red Sea? What is my Red Sea? See, that's more of an esoteric view. Yes, now again, I believe the story is true, but I also believe there's an esoteric meaning around it. Meaning, when you do manifesting identity work, when I say you're going to face your fears, I mean you're going to face them. You're going to face them to a point where you're so deep into it, you don't know. You can't go any farther. Your whole life is going to collapse. That's what you feel. See, that's a Red Sea. That's what you got to break through. You want to be that most successful version of you, but you're not going to get to that most successful version of you that has everything you want when you're still behaving like the old you. You still run back to safety. But you talk a big talk, but you run back to safety. There's a point in your life, you talk a big talk. Oh, Chad, you talk a big talk. There's a point in your life, you got to face your fears. You can't run no more. And let me tell you, when I face my fears, maybe in Thailand, maybe it's the noise gets to me. They blast music. And when it comes into these Thai-style houses, it's, there's no sound insulation, heat insulation. Once they come in, the sound's just like boom, boom, boom. Okay, there's nothing like in these houses that absorb sound to help keep sound out or absorb sound. Some of it's that makes me feel like I'm gonna go nuts and crazy. That has like really strengthened my standards and boundaries and confronting my standards and boundaries and being able to go out and talk to people and say, hey, you need to tone it down a little bit. You know what I mean? It's been that. It's been when things don't go your way, you still face it. You don't run from it. You don't run from, oh, Thailand sucks. Another thing that was brought up of me is that I blame people. I blame circumstances and people rather than take 100% responsibility of myself. You know what I mean? I've talked about this before. We have the when we did the gate in the front wall, you know what I mean? I pretty much got ripped off $2,000. We got to fix it. It's going to cost me probably $2,000 to fix it, fix all the mistakes they made. You know what I mean? They cut things too short. They watered down the paint. They didn't protect the steel against rust. I mean, they did all types of shit. Okay. But guess what? It's my fault. Because I saw it. I saw that where they overstepped that boundary with me, now I let them overstep it. I started blaming Aang for the gate situation because I was thinking, well, maybe you're not translating right. Maybe you're not interpreting it right. I'm telling them Aang's interpreting because I don't speak conversational Thai. But again, it's not Aang's fault. It's my fault because I let them overstep boundaries. Even right now, like the bot, that's like the Thai money, the bot is very, very strong. So when I transfer money, it's weaker. Even when that gets weaker, maybe everything's like lower now with stocks and stuff like that. I don't want to transfer so much money. That's scary. Like for me, when money gets tight a little bit, or I don't want to move money, like I can have a flipping meltdown. I like flipping when it comes to money. When anxiety will overtake me. Like I'll have so much anxiety, I feel like I'm gonna get sick. I have so much anxiety. My only thing is like, oh my God, I got to book a plane ticket and go home. You know what I mean? But see, that's my Red Sea. I got to face it. You got to face things. You got to face your fears because on the other side of fear is your dream life, what you want. But you got to face it. See, the issue is that your subconscious mind, I have the window here because the sun's coming in. Your subconscious mind knows you better than you know yourself. Listen, your subconscious mind, it knows your old self. It knows your bad decisions, if you're decisive or indecisive. It knows your habits, good or bad. It knows your patterns. It knows when a going gets tough, you run. It knows when a going gets tough, you quit. You understand? How many of you have started a diet and 2 weeks later you quit? And then a couple months later you start a new diet, then you quit, then you start a new diet, then you quit. All you do is jump from diet to diet. Your whole excuse, you blame the diet. You don't blame yourself. The issue is yourself, not the diet. With manifesting, it's always been yourself. The issue is yourself. The cause is yourself. Okay? You want to change the effect. You want to change the outside world. First, you got to change the cause, which is yourself. Some of you out there are fault finders in relationships. You're jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. You're blaming the other person, but the real issue is yourself. You don't see it. You got to see it, my friends. This is a bullshit that most manifesting gurus, success gurus don't tell you. Because it's not sexy. You know what I mean? It's not a 24-hour technique. It's not how to get your dream car or your dream job. Chad, just tell me what I need to do. Tell me the $1 technique. Tell me what Thomas Troward would do. This is the real work, my friends. This is the real work people have figured out to get the life they want, but they know they got to go through the junk. They know change is you not moving. When I say you are unshakable, that's what I really mean. You are unshakable. When I say I am unshakable, it's like, when you say it out loud, it's like your subconscious mind is like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? I'm going to test you. I'm going to test to see if you're unshakable. Because listen, your subconscious mind knows you. Your subconscious mind knows your pressure points. It knows when you quit in the past. It knows how much you're put up with before you run. It knows all this about you because it's about patterns and habits in you. So when you say you're going to be unshakable, you say you draw the line in the sand, your subconscious mind is like, okay, we'll see how far you'll go this time before you quit, before you run back to mommy and daddy, before you run back to your comfort zone. We'll see. And it's going to test you. Because you're going to be faced with your fears. You're going to be faced with a shitstorm that you ran before. But this time you got to stay. You got to stay and face it. Because once you listen, guys, once you really stay and face it, and it's going to be so uncomfortable for you, once you stay and face it, when you come out on the other side, you actually faced your fears, you won, it's going to give you more confidence. That old self is going to weaken so much that most successful version of you will be in control because it won't be so scary for you. Sometimes it's just that inner confidence that you have, that the decisions you make, everything's going to be okay. You understand? And sometimes it's when you're in that gunk phase, when everything's hitting you, you don't know which way to go. You don't know what's the right decision or the wrong decision. Even for myself, I thought about this. I was like, I'm very logical, okay? I'm very analytical. I overanalyze. I'm very indecisive. These are things I work on. You know what I mean? But I'm very, very logical. That might be good in business, some sorts. But in manifesting identity work, listen, logic keeps you in your comfort zone. Logic keeps you in that old self. That's logic. Logic wants to keep you safe no matter what. No matter if you abandon other people, logic wants to keep you safe. Okay? The illogical side of you, the illogical pretty much, honestly, will take you to your dream life. You know what I mean? So lots of times, this is easy, but it's not easy at the same time. Lots of times I ask myself this question. Now, what would the logical side of Chad do? And honestly, listen, it comes quick, baby. Honestly, the logical side of me will go back to the United States. Right now, I don't even have to think about it. Then I ask myself the question, what would the illogical side of me do? The illogical side of me would be like, stay. Stay in Thailand. Stay and confront your fears. Stop running. The illogical side of you will say, stop running because you're gaining the confidence, you trust yourself more that you're going to come out on the other side. That's the illogical side. But you see, I'm not telling you what to do in this video, but the logical side is not going to take you to your dream life. The logical side is not going to take you to live life on your terms. The logical side is not going to take you to your dream house, your dream car. It's not going to make you a millionaire. Your logical side will keep you remaining as you are. That's your logical side. Your logical side is meant to keep you safe, to keep you in that old identity. So lots of times I'll ask myself this question, what would the logical side of me do? And once I answer it, the logical side will say, Chad, leave. Chad, go back to the United States. Then, you know what I'll do? I'll do the opposite from the logical. I'll do the illogical. Even if the illogical makes me scared as shit. Makes me want to shit my pants. Let's put it that way. Because you know what? When we face our fears, we face something we don't like, that's what we feel like. We feel like we're going to throw up. I'm going to have an anxiety attack. I'm going to pass out. Okay? I'm going to run back and forth to the bathroom. I mean, those are just real emotions. When we're really facing our fears, when we're facing our old identity, we got to face it, my friends. I got to face it. We really got to burn the old identity. Listen, we really got to, I'm trying to choose my words carefully in this video. There's certain words I just don't want to use because of YouTube. We really want to bury our old identity. We want to weaken it to a point where it has no say in our lives no more. But the only way to do that, my friends, is you got to face the shit. You got to face the shitstorm. No matter how you feel, you really got to make a decision is I'm staying. I'm not moving. You might have knocked me down yesterday, but today I'm back up. I'm back up again. I'm standing back where I drew the line in the sand. I'm not moving. I've told you I'm not leaving. I told you I'm not leaving Thailand. I told you I'm facing my fears. I told you that. I told you you're not going to win this time. Okay? It's like a boxing match. Your old self will knock you out. Your old self in the beginning will win. Your old self, if you know boxing a lot, your old self will knock you down 3 times in the first round. Okay? If you're into the UFC, your old self will choke you out. That's how strong your old self is in the beginning. But no matter how many times your old self chokes you out, makes you pass out, knocks you down 3 times in a round, no matter how many times your old self wins the round, guess what? My buddy came up to support me. He's probably thinking, Chad, why are you talking like this? No matter how many times your old self wins, you get right back up to where you drew that line in the sand. And you say, sometimes I say out loud when I'm just by myself, I say, I'm ready for another round. And then guess what? You know what? My old self kicks the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Because in the beginning, your old self is stronger than your new identity. Your old self is stronger in the beginning than you want to be your most successful version of you. Your old self is stronger, baby. But you're not giving up. You're resilient. You're resilient, if I could say that word. You're persistent. You come back up to the line and you say, you know what? I told you I'm not giving up. I told you I'm not throwing in the towel. I told you that I'm not running this time. And what happens is the more you step up to the line, you get stronger and stronger against your old self. The more I'm doing the fighting metaphors, boxing metaphors, UFC metaphors, the more you learn to kind of dodge, the more you learn to punch back, the more you learn to block, the more you learn to move. So what happens is you last a little bit longer. You don't totally win, not yet, but you last longer. You last longer in the round. You know what I mean? Your old self don't knock you out in the first round, in the first 30 seconds. They don't knock you down 3 times. They don't choke you out right away. What happens, you get into round 2. Okay, you're a little bit more confident. It knocks you out in round 2. You get back up. You go back up to the line. So let's go again, baby. I told you I'm not giving up. I told you I'm done. Told you I'm done being scared. I told you this time's different, and I really mean it. And what happens, usually Neville calls this the bridge of incidents, is as you're walking across the bridge, literally all this shit is happening to you. It's fierce. Okay? Because the old self is trying to stop you. The old self is like, dude, I got to bring everything. Ooh, Chad's strong this time. Chad really means what he says this time. Now, it's literally like you're in a boxing match. I'm trying to think how many rounds they go. I think they go 15 rounds. I might be wrong, but I think it's 15. You've literally lasted a 15th round, baby. And you've won most of the rounds. Your old self knows if you last the round number 15, you're going to win by decision. So by round 15, your old self is bringing everything it has. It's bringing everything it has. It's bringing everything, old memories, old thoughts. It's bringing everything you're flipping scared of into your life to stop you. That's what's happening. If you're in the UFC, you're in the last flipping round, and your old self is fighting dirty where the judges don't see it. Okay, it's doing moves that you've never seen before. Because it knows. It knows if you last, you're going to win by decision. And you have to last. You have to know the game, because the longer you stay, the longer you last, you get more and more confident. Not so much stuff scares you anymore. You know, the reason why your old self is fighting so hard fucking against you is because you're standing toe to toe to your dream life. It knows once you surpass the shitstorm, once you surpass the fire, you don't need the old self anymore. You're not scared anymore. You rely on the confidence in yourself. You understand that the truth is inside of me. You understand source is inside of me. And that, my friends, right there is real identity work. It's real manifesting. That's how manifesting really works. It doesn't mean in the beginning that you don't manifest little things into your life. We all do. I manifest a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Manifest small things. But what I'm talking about here is you're manifesting things. You want to change your flipping life. You want your dream house, your dream car. You don't want to settle. You want your dream career, your dream job. You want to be a successful entrepreneur. You don't want to settle. You want to be a multi-millionaire. It doesn't matter what you want. See, when you want these huge things, you got to become a better version of yourself. And the only way you become a better version of yourself is you got to bury that old self. The only way you bury that old self is you got to stand in the heat, my friends. And the heat is flipping scary. We all have different fears. We all have different things that make us run back to our comfort zone. You got to face those. Without facing them, you're always going to be in your comfort zone. Without facing them, you're never going to live your dream life. You have to understand this. You're not going to do it without facing your fears. That's not going to happen. You're doing all this talk, you want. But it's time to take action. Your action is you draw the line in the sand, you don't move, baby. That's your action. I said this time is going to be different. This time I'm going after my dream life. I'm going after what I want. I'm unshakable. I'm not fucking moving. I don't care how many times my old self beats me down, how many rounds it wins. But listen to this as we wrap up this video. Listen, I want you to take this to heart. Listen, you only have to win one round to get your dream life. You don't need to win 15 rounds. You might have to last 15 rounds, but you have to understand, you only need to win one round, my friends. You only need to knock out your old self one time. That will take you to your dream life. That will put you on the other side. That will give you more confidence. Why I mean confidence? You're confident in yourself. You know sources inside you. You know the truth. You're not scared anymore. You know that everything's going to work out for the best. It doesn't scare you. Finances don't scare you. You not knowing which way to go don't scare you no more. You just let it unfold. You know when you follow your intuition and gut feelings, it's going to take you closer to what you want. Okay, you start trusting that. You start trusting the voice inside of you. You know that everything is from within. Nothing is outside of you. What's from within you is the choices that you make. You're confident in that. You're confident in yourself that you can live the life that you deserve. You can live the life of your dreams, that you call the shots. You're confident in that. See, that's what you're not confident in. Maybe other people made decisions for you growing up, like me. You know what I mean? My dad was very overbearing. When you lived under his household, you did what he said. He planned your whole day. So when I became an adult, guess what? I wasn't used to and confident in making my own decisions. I was confident in someone else doing that for me. You got to be confident in. You got to know you have all the right choices inside you. You got to know that you make all the right decisions. You got to know your decisions will take you to that most successful version of yourself. You got to know your decisions that will take you closer to your dream life. You got to stop listening to that old self, my friends. But other than that, tribe, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. It's been about 45 minutes here. Just want to share those with you. Just want to share that no BS. This is how it really works. And when you're facing a fire, you should see it this way. When you're so nervous, you should look at it this way. When you have anxiety, all that means is you're toe-to-toe to your dream life. That's all it means, baby. Use it for excitement. Look at it that way. When you're nervous, lots of times I get so nervous, I feel like I'm going to puke. But at the same time, I see it like, dude, I'm toe-to-toe to my dream life, baby. Like I'm so close, I could stick out my tongue and taste it. That's how close I am. That's how close you are. You got to tell those things to yourself because it's true. There's truth in it. I'm not making it up. I might be funny a little bit, but I'm not making this shit up. You're toe-to-toe with it. You just can't see it. You can't see how close you are. Because if you could at least see it, you wouldn't throw in the towel. You wouldn't quit. Okay, my friends? Okay, tribe? So hang in there. You draw the line in the sand. No matter how many times you fall down, you get back up. You face the fire. You remain until you walk through it. Okay? Other than that, tribe, remember, I love you guys. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, peace out. I'll see you in the next video.